moving on to video number 2. So the other thing I'm trying to get across to social services is my absolute incapacity when it comes to filling out benefit forms. So currently, as you know, because I've talked about this a lot, I am very, very disabled. I might appear more normal than I actually am, normal in inverted commas, because obviously I am highly verbal and incredibly articulate. That is actually almost like my Achilles heel at times, because that's just part of the picture, but people see it as like the be-all and end-all, like, oh, she can talk, she can use long words, she can sound philosophical, she can maybe sound like someone off Radio 4, she knows her stuff, she's university educated. They use all that, it can be used against me, because it's not the whole picture. That's just part of my life, the fact that verbal is my strength. But autism is, as we know, comes with spiky profile. So for me, verbal is my strength. For others, it might be their weakness, but for me, it happens to be my strength. My weakness is in the non-verbal area, and I have a huge discrepancy between my verbal abilities and my non-verbal abilities. And the way my autism affects me is that I'm extremely driven by routine. I'm incredibly rigid. I basically have to do things by certain times. I get overwhelmed really easily by things that are not in my routine, which includes filling out benefit forms. And when I say overwhelmed, I mean to the point my brain goes into complete and utter total meltdown. It becomes incredibly angry, it becomes reckless, it becomes impulsive, it ends up tearing up paper and things like that. And I can't control it. It happens. It's my autism. It's not something I can control. It's part of my disability. It goes into absolute tailspin. I cannot fill out benefit forms. It causes such mental anguish. It literally just, my brain can't do it. But because I can talk well, and because I appear articulate, and because I can write lengthy emails, no matter how much cost it causes me mentally, because people don't see that, and all the energy that comes out of, people don't understand. I have severe executive functioning problems. So I have to be if I'm motivated, I can do something. If it's a strong, mono-focused interest, it will happen within my routine. But I cannot, it's like an almost extreme demand avoidance for things that are not in my routine, basically. And that can be part of autism, a demand avoidance for things that are not part of your routine. It causes extreme anxiety. It's not something your brain can control. It's completely outside of your ability to control it. And that's part of my spiky profile, this problem. I also have dyscalculia, so I literally am financially dense. Thankfully, my dad helps me look after my finances so I don't overspend. I need someone to supervise, because otherwise I could get into debt. But because my dad looks after my finances, that doesn't happen. Now, in the future, when my dad's no longer here, who's going to be looking after my finances to ensure I don't get into debt? And also, I need someone to basically do my benefits for me, because I can't do it. Even with support, I can't even be involved in the benefit thing because I go into meltdown. Like, my dad used to try and get me to be involved, and all that happened was I'd end up screaming, tearing papers, basically going into complete meltdown. By the way, meltdowns are uncontrollable. They're like uncontrollable anxiety attacks. They're completely outside of your control, so I lack capacity to do it. I literally lack capacity. As much as someone with an intellectual disability can't do it, I can't do it. But because I've got a high verbal IQ, people don't understand. And, yeah, so I'm trying to explain this to the social worker, that I literally cannot fill out benefit forms, even with support. I need someone, like an appointee, to basically take care of it. You know, they might need to consult me briefly, but that's fine. But essentially, they're writing it out for me. I need to have faith and trust that this person is going to do it for me, sign it all off, and with minimal involvement from me. The only involvement might be for me to just hand over documents, basically. And maybe they need to get to know me a little bit and ask me questions about my life. That's fine. You know, they can take notes on my background and stuff to understand the extent of my disability. I'm happy with that, but ultimately they need to be doing it for me, basically. But the social worker is just so dense. He's as dense as mud. He keeps on coming back to me and saying, oh, you can try and learn how to go, and your support worker can maybe try and help you deal with the CAB people, the Citizens Advice Bureau. You know, they can help you deal with them and they can assist you with it. He's as dense as mud. It's like I've tried to tell him that would still cause a meltdown, but he doesn't listen. And, yeah, so that's what's been making me feel very frustrated lately is this just ignorant, dense as mud social worker who has absolutely no understanding of my situation. He seems to think I do have financial capacity when I don't, because I have dyscalculia. I had to say to him in my email, have you even read my notes? Because clearly he hasn't. He hasn't read an assessment I had not that long ago that proves how all of these issues, he's just so dense. Autism Sussex is actually being more understanding and supportive, by the way, so at least I'm lucky to have Autism Sussex there, someone from Autism Sussex who's being understanding and supportive and is helping on my behalf. I wish this is what the social worker should be doing, for crying out loud. I'm sort of hoping the social worker moves on and I get a new one, because this one's awful. And I do move on fairly quickly, I have to say. It's not often I hope they'll move on, because normally I want consistency, but this one's awful, so... seriously. It was suggested, I think the person from Autism Sussex said, get some other service user who has capacity in some areas, because it's not like I completely lack capacity. Clearly, I have capacity in, I can cook for myself, I can, because that's my special interest, as you all know, and I can manage my daily routines on my own, so, and very basic kind of self-help skills. So it's not like I completely lack capacity. There's often this black and white assumption in the UK, about capacity. It's kind of like you must either lack it completely or you've got complete capacity without any understanding of the nuances. And obviously autism is full of nuances and spiky profiles, things you might have capacity in and do really well, and then other things you completely lack capacity in. It's like this, they just don't get it. The things that you completely lack capacity in, it's like this, they seem to think that you can somehow learn capacity over time, or that is something that, you just need to be taught independence in, not actually realising that some things in autism are never going to be cured, because it's like an incurable condition. Like, if it could be cured, it would be cured by now. Thank you very much. I mean, I wish I could cure it and wave a magic wand, but that is not going to happen, is it? Because it would have happened by now if it could happen, right? I'm 35 years old. And things are only going to get worse the older I get as well. Don't forget, by the time, if I am lucky enough to reach old age, you can only imagine how little energy I'll have by then. I mean, all old people lose energy, but if you're already severely disabled, then my meltdowns might even get worse over these sort of things, because I'm going to have even less energy to deal with it. I can imagine a sort of state of extreme apathy where I just completely give up, again, enter extreme poverty or something, and who's going to care then? Because the system is as cold as heck. I mean, that's a scary prospect, but, you just have to hope that people look after you or look out for you. But seriously, we live in a Tory society that just does not give a crap about disabled people, and I go to bed worrying about this, and it's as scary as hell. I'm young, and yet I still lack the energy to deal with it because I'm disabled. Can you imagine how worse it's going to get if I'm lucky enough to reach old age? I mean, is this going to get even worse? Deep breath. So yeah, it's just so infuriating. But as I was saying, the person from Autism Sussex, who was more understanding, who's been very helpful, and said get another service user who lacks capacity in some areas, who lacks capacity in financial areas but has capacity in other areas, I think uses their financial service. They have some financial service and they actually do the benefits for them. And she was asking the social worker whether or not that could be done for me, but it did take a long time to get that for that other person. But obviously if it can be done for them, then surely it can be done for me too. So there must be some kind of way this can be managed. It's just this dense and smart social worker God, he makes me angry. He just does not listen, he does not understand my disability, and he completely talks over me, and he's so patronising, and I really want a new social worker, because this one fucking pisses me off. And I just don't like him at all. He's just, he doesn't listen. Just getting off my system, it's infuriating. These social police, so that's what they are. They're like social gatekeepers. If you're lucky enough to have a nice one, but again, sometimes you just get these emotionally thick ones with complete and utter screw loose, and it absolutely drives you mad. You want a social worker who's read your notes and who truly understands autism. That's what you want. This one seems to think I can learn independent skills, and that is all in my head. And he also seems to think that I just need some mental health treatment and everything will be alright. It's like, no, that's not how it works. But yeah, let me know if any of you have had problems in this area, and I'd also be interested if any of you have any advice or any insight as to how someone like me, who lacks capacity to fill out benefit forms, if there is any service out there that can, basically if there's any organisation, service or policy that I don't know about, that can essentially, that can is there an organisation or a service or anything out there or anything I need to find out that can basically fill out forms for people who, even if they have capacity in other areas, lack the ability to fill out benefit forms? Because, like I said, the social worker who's this dense and smart seems to think I have financial capacity, but he doesn't understand I have severe dyscalculia, and he also has, which is, like I said, he hasn't read my notes. He thinks I have financial capacity based on God knows what information, because he obviously hasn't talked to me, and he hasn't actually looked at any of my notes, because he even suggested I see him face to face, which shows he doesn't even know I have severe OCD. So it's absolutely disgusting. But anyway, do let me know, because I'll be interested to hear if any of you've got any advice. So thank you for watching.